Hey there, it's JimmyO from JOBLO.com, and we're about to look at the latest from the DC Universe, Birds of Prey. Now, if you look at the full title of the latest from DCEU, it appears as Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Now, the second part of that is perhaps a more honest description of what the new film featuring the return of Margot Robbie returning as Harley Quinn really is. Certainly the characters that will eventually form and bring the big screen version of Birds of Prey to life are all here, but my oh my. That final act when the girls go mano a mano against a bunch of goons led by a scene-stealing Ewan McGregor, it all comes to life. The new film, directed by Cathy Yan and written by Christina Hodson, is a wild and sometimes beautiful disaster. And frankly, I mean that mostly as a compliment. Coming off their adventures in Suicide Squad, Joker has officially broken up with Harley Quinn. She is devastated, so much so that she decides to announce the news by blowing up Ace Chemicals, the place where she truly became Harley Quinn. Unfortunately for her, she made a ton of enemies as the Joker's gal, and now he's not interested in protecting her anymore, so there are a ton of folks that want to make sure that she can't cause any more trouble for anyone else. One such man is the slimy nightclub owner played by Ewan McGregor, Roman Sionis, along with a psycho henchman by the name of Victor Shaws, played by Chris Messina. In the middle of all of this is a young pickpocket named Cassandra Cain, played by Jay Basco, who manages to lift a very special diamond off of Victor. Knowing what Roman could do to Cass, Harley teams up with the young girl in an attempt, well, to get the diamond for herself. However, as Roman and his crew get more desperate, Harley and Cass seek the help of Gotham detective Renee Montoya, Rosie Perez, Roman's songbird Dinah Lance, Jurnee Smollett-Bell, and a mysterious woman in black known as the Huntress, played by Elizabeth Winstead. Sitting back and taking this all in, the first half hour introduces you to a chaotic yet strangely appealing look at what happened to Harley Quinn after her previous adventures. She is heartbroken after her failed relationship, so clearly she'll deal with it in fairly destructive ways. However, this strange beginning introduces us a whole lot of things, yet keeping the focus on Quinn at all times is kind of problematic. The script brings in villainous gangsters, legends of Gotham, a detective who is just as frustrating to her boss as Quinn is to pretty much everyone else. Oh, and did I happen to mention the hyena? And then there is the diamond. Once we get to the gist of it all, it revolves around several characters searching for this priceless and powerful jewel. Without giving too much away, the chaotic nature of this story feels a bit tedious for the first half hour or so. In fact, it's a bit difficult to describe my own personal feelings for the movie in the beginning, as I wasn't quite sure how I felt about the madness on display. Yet, in the end, Quinn and crew won me over. Margot Robbie is utterly delightful as a childlike and occasionally vicious Quinn. While the character is certainly made a bit more, quote, heroic here because she's a headliner, she still manages to get a bit of nastiness in there. Thankfully, the actress brings so much energy and charm to Harley, it's nearly impossible to resist her. In fact, by giving her the opportunity to break the fourth wall and discuss the convoluted structure that happens right before our very eyes, it kinda works. Yet after a while, you begin to expect that this hyper-stylized, albeit surprisingly grounded, feature makes a bit of sense. Instead of following an obvious structure, we are told the story through Harley's twisted mind, and oftentimes throughout, she will begin a narrative and then suddenly change her mind and decide on a different approach. In many ways, the structure here is similar to Ryan Reynolds' delightful madness in Deadpool. Although the R rating here appears to mostly be for the multiple times the characters say fuck. Aside from Robbie, it's Ewan McGregor who truly shines. The actor, fresh off of stepping into Stephen King territory for Dr. Sleep, is clearly relishing playing a bad guy. In fact, his Roman is one of the best and most charismatic superhero villains I've seen in either Marvel or DC. The actor brings a bit of flamboyance mixed with brutality and a heaping amount of insane charm to the role. Every single time he's on screen, you simply can't take your eyes off of him. The same can be said about Chris Messina, who was wickedly delightful as the dyed blonde baddie Victor Shaws. These two make a formidable pair of foes for Harley and her pals, and yes, there are a couple of moments that help remind the audience just how disturbed Victor really is. Funnily enough, when it comes to on-screen violence, this flick really isn't that much more insane than some of the PG-13 flicks that have come before it. Even still though, Victor does have one scene that is actually quite disturbing. It's one that would probably make Leatherface quite proud. Now when it comes to the birds of prey themselves, they certainly collected worthy talent. It's especially a treat to see Rosie Perez taking on the tough-talking alcoholic detective Montoya. As well, Jurnee Smollett-Bell brings a little soul to the nightclub singer with a secret, and of course young Jay Basco adds a bit of charm to Cass. And then there is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who offers a ton of humor to her, quote, crossbow killer, otherwise known as the Huntress. The actress' deadpan delivery makes for an enjoyable performance, one that stands out in a world where crazy is the new normal. As I mentioned previously, while the film's title is Birds of Prey, the filmmaker's focus on Quinn doesn't really allow for the supporting actors to get the chance to make as huge of an impression as they could have. Even still, I really like the cast in the end, and I'm very much looking forward to see what will happen when they bring them all together for a sequel. Birds of Prey is a bright and insane world. While it took a bit for this viewer to really appreciate the grandiose display of exaggerated violence mixed with a little bit of Gotham reality, it became harder and harder to resist as the film with a less than 2-hour running time went on. Once you get used to the hyper-stylized storytelling and direction, you'll find much to enjoy here. Margot is especially a wonder as Harley Quinn, and she manages to bring the glorious sense of fun to her morally questionable and selfish anti-hero. And then there's McGregor. The actor relishes in delight what this monster of a man is capable of. Of course, the violence doesn't necessarily seem like it deserves an R rating, aside from a scene or two. The energy that Cathy Yan creates manages to make this all work in the end. It's certainly not perfect, but with a ton of bright spots, including a strange and unusual ode to Marilyn Monroe, Birds of Prey manages to take flight near the end of the first act, making for an engagingly goofy ride. However, I do have a minor word of warning. Depending on how you feel about post-credit scenes, this one might give you a laugh, but it may anger the hell out of you at the same time. Let's just say it's only a voiceover with a tease of the Batman, so do with that what you will. In the end, I'm giving Birds of Prey a 7 out of 10. I delighted in the movie and I had a great time with the cast. It's insane and chaotic, but in the end, a whole lot of fun. Now in the comments section below, once this flick comes out, let us know what you think when Birds of Prey flies into a theater near you. Thanks for listening.